with the last name of Frink. Uh, we're gonna be
Frank,
getting
Frank.
Frank
That's my
Frink
guy. You're talking to him
Frink
all wrong.
Frank Frink. Listen, if you talk to him like that again, I'm gonna stab you in the face with a soldering iron. Mine wasn't as good as yours. Greetings everyone. Welcome to the 6th episode of Great Scott Marcus. This is a Friday.
Are we starting with Hype Train?
Oh no! We're gonna have to do the Frank Frink thing all over again. No, I'm not. I'm not doing
Just
the
change it
Frank
now.
Frink thing all over again. But everybody's gonna see every topic. So here we go. Here are all the topics. Welcome to Great Scott Marcus. This is already a shit show. Welcome to Great
It's a
Scott
Friday.
Marcus.
We're allowed to be a shit show.
Yeah, we're recording on a Friday instead of a Sunday. So Mark's gonna have guests. So it's just worth getting out of the way. And yeah, so welcome to our show where we have done some pretty cool things this past week. I'm pretty burnt out. Mark's pretty burnt out. From
It's been a hell of a week.
Yeah, there's been a lot. There's
reasons.
been a lot going on. And yeah, so I changed the graphics, and that's really the biggest announcement. So credits, cut to credits. You think?
Credits. Da-da-da-da.
No. So our big announcement is we are now Ramble-Entertainment. Bam! Oh, I fucked it up. Oh, bam! Bam!
I did it right, and I can't even see myself, and I still did it right. You're failing.
The chopper is just like going straight down into the ocean, and it's just still. and then it just jumps to credits, Jurassic Park 4, and that's the end of that movie.
Yeah, that was a Jurassic Park 1 reference with Jeff Goldblum laughing in a helicopter. If nobody's ever heard that laugh before,
Jeff, if you ever want to come on our show with 5 subscribers, we'll happily have you. So we are now, getting back on topic, Ramble-Entertainment. And the thing about that is, well, obviously, we ramble a lot. And so it was just in the name. And the reason that we're creating this banner instead of just being GSM, we're going to have 2 more shows. We're going to have a show that comes after this one on Thursday and Friday. And then, or maybe it will be Wednesday and Thursday. I'm not entirely sure. And then after that, the week after that, we will have a whole nother show. And
well, by we, it's going to be you and 2 other guests. I will not be a part of it, but it's okay. I mean, we're all one big community, so it's fine.
One show you might jump in on, but the other show is kind of a specialized show. That one will be bi-weekly, and then the other show will kind of take over something that I've really wanted to be able to talk about more at length, actually both. I will be on both shows. The other gentlemen, my other friends that I've made through games and through college, will be on those shows with me. Sometimes they might even jump over here to GSM. Sometimes we might just 4-man GSM or 3-man GSM. Ooh. That might actually become the more common occurrence. So the rambling for Ramble-Entertainment will just be freaking out of control. But at least we're owning up to
the rambles.
We want to unite under this one roof so that all of our different shows, Great Scott Marcus will still be Great Scott Marcus, and the other shows will have their own names. Can all be under the same thing. Represented by what we do. We ramble, but we do it about entertainment, and we can also be entertaining for you guys.
Excuse me.
So we're pretty proud. Obviously, this isn't like huge because we don't have like hundreds of subscribers, thousands of subscribers, hundreds or thousands of views. But this is big. This is progress for us as we continue to say we are a progressing show. Do you want to add anything to this kind of event, Mark?
No, I think it's good. Something step in the right direction of productivity and actually creating something out of this, and making this banner with you was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and
we got to bounce back and forth on it, and
they're probably close to home, which we'll talk about in another topic or 2.
3 to 20 minutes. So let's get right into it.
That's worth cable company time.
Basically, I showed off our topics for this week, but let's go ahead and get right into it, because we're basically going to be talking about how this week has kind of progressed for us. Feelings and such. We're going to have our feels out, guys.
All the feels.
So yeah. First off, the mysteries of tech. Now, this kind of can make us sound a bit ignorant, and of course, everybody's ignorant to an extent. But
we're not ignorant, just not as fully knowledgeable about certain
course.
Subjects.
Of course.
Yeah.
But what I really want to highlight here is like the things that we have created, the technologies that we have created. Like there are things within them. For instance, the internet, that
the what?
Only like maybe a few 100,000 people in the world understand. And that's just mind-boggling because, billions use these technologies. So earlier this week, I was having trouble connecting to the website I purchased domains through. And I was just like, okay, well, maybe they're having some downtime or something, which was a bit odd because they're fairly large. I'm blurry. I'm not blurry.
I think it was just focusing on your Wendy's cup. It moved again. I don't know what it's focusing on.
I don't know. So,
anyways.
So, I weighed throughout the day as we weighed to purchase this website name, Ramble-Entertainment.com. And couldn't connect to it. So I started troubleshooting. I did the DNS flush and, the IP config and, grabbed the IP address and plugged it into the browser bar and used that to try and connect. I pinged the site, pinged the IP, all came back with 100% loss, and I was just like, okay, well, time to actually call tech. And so I called their tech support, and even they were just like, what? Yeah, they were just, hit the red button!
That's like almost exploded. Me every time someone calls into my office and I have to talk to them about tech support. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm like,
and I was just like, okay, so this would seem incredibly odd, but do you block IPs? Because this seems very, odd that I can't connect to this website I connected to yesterday, and I was able to connect through my phone, and it's just like, and it's just, it's
so like went to toilet.
It may have. So, they just kind of, it was kind of fun because, all this stress, I was just like, oh, now I get to listen to this guy who, is, hired for this and paid for this, and he doesn't even get it. He was chatting with somebody who's, an escalation, basically, and then he's just like, so can you tell me exactly what happens when you go connect to the site? And I type in the site, and guess what? The site fucking works. The site fucking works, and I'm just like, what did you do? And he's like, and I was just like, okay, magic. So anyway, thanks. And he was like, sure. And we ended the call, and it was just kind of one of those fun things. But, for a second there, we talked about just the internet's a fucking mystery. So, we created this thing. Humans created this thing. And it's still, to the majority of us, it still doesn't make sense. Most, even to a decently high-end user. So, that's really what I want to start on.
I think it happens more often than you think it does. Like I said, in the software company that I work for, I do some tech support for them, and multiple times a week, it's like people will call and they're like, I was doing this one thing, and I'm like, well, do it again. And they're like, oh my god, it worked. I'm not having
averages.
Your file.
Let's give it a shot.
Like, son of a bitch, what'd you do?
I was jacking my keyboard off it for anybody who, law of averages. That's what that's about. For anybody who's wondering while watching this. Just. Weird stuff happens. My phone's probably going to do some weird stuff after this because I threw it into a wall. So, speaking of weird stuff, breakdowns.
Mental breakdowns.
You wanted to talk about
this. Man. I mean, this is part of, the crazy week that has been. And we've all been there. We've all been there. I know you've been there.
I basically have a breakdown once a week these days.
It's almost rare for me. I mean, I always get in the subject of what am I going to do with my life? I'm looking for another job. This was deep. It was just because, I had other outside stresses in my life going on with other people that we know, and just dealing with that. And I'm usually pretty good at that kind of stress. And then I got this other task at my job where I need to build a 3D model for more like marketing images.
I hate 3D.
And for those who don't know, my degree is in architecture. And long story short, when I graduated, I was not convinced of it. And so I'm building this model. And as I'm building, I'm like, fuck, I miss doing this. And I'm just like, did I just fuck up the past 6 years of my life? Should I have gone to grad school? Should I have like this all just like transpired, and it was just like a domino effect in my brain. And by the time I got off work, I was looking up grad schools, dude, and like looking up the requirements. Huh?
Should have text.
I should have. I don't know what was up, but long story short, I came home. Huh?
I mean, I get it. There are times where it's like, I should have texted someone, but in my mind I was like, no, I have to handle this.
I usually do if I'm overly stressed or thinking about something. My mom's a great outlet for me. She's a wonderful person.
Mom.
Love you, Mom. That kind of brings
Guys,
around to
love your moms.
Yes,
unless they suck.
I end up like just kind of breaking down. Actually, like cried a bit that night. I was talking to someone, actually like letting it all out. All like that outside stress that was happening, plus
and that's when I was like, I gotta go, and I just hung up.
Well, no, that's the next day though. Like that, actually, I think it was like at midnight. You sent me the Ramble-Entertainment image, and then by the time I got to work, my brain started functioning again, and I got in my creative level again, and that's what like brought me back home. Just like, because I love looking at stuff and critiquing it, and then like I love just that process and trying to find those relationships. Like what you sent me, I was just like, okay, yeah, I was seeing this. I was like, I like the white space, maybe just do this and this, and I was just like, okay, this brought me back home down to level like. Cause I was way the fuck here, like freaking out, and I'm just like, then I got grounded. I'm like, okay, this was proved. Like this is
good.
This is what I needed to do. So that's why I thanked you, even though you really didn't
It
do
was
anything.
An odd thanks. I was like, this is
You're like,
a
what the
basic.
fuck
Hold on, do I have to? I would pick up my phone and turn it sideways to
It's in the
look
toilet
at
right
it,
now.
but it's actually inside a wall in
Yeah.
a toilet that's inside a wall.
Yeah, that's why I thanked you. Like that's the universe works in odd ways sometimes, and
speaking of
yeah,
things that
came
look
full
great,
circle there.
Speaking of
Huh?
things that look great, real quick, you look great today, and you're making me look like a fucking bum.
I'm sorry.
And
I got off work, and this is what I wear to work pretty much every day. Is collared shirt. I'm wearing jeans though. I'm not like super dressy, and I'm allowed to have my shirt unbuttoned, so like tattoos peeking out everywhere, and boss doesn't care, so that's cool. But
I mean, most of the time I'm gonna look like this because I in the past 3 years I've gained so much weight to a point that I don't, my old clothes don't fit, so I didn't really go for fashion when I stopped, at the local store and was just like, I need shit that fits me. But yeah, like, even stuff like that, over the past 3 years, just going up in weight because I've had to lead such a sedentary life because of the pain. I'm back in physical therapy, which is great because the left leg had a bursitis or inflammation of the bursa sac, and the right, again, to kind of recap for those who might not have watched past episodes, my right leg has been in chronic pain for the past 3 years, and it's only starting to come around, and so I need to get back into the gym, but then my left leg fucked up, blah, 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 nobody cares, Scott.
I mean, to come full circle back to the topic, it's like everyone's got breakdowns, everyone's got reasons for them, like, and it's normal. It's rational.
Well,
and sometimes
I mean,
you gotta
that's what I was,
go.
heading towards. It's just like along that whole road, there have just been so many things, and like some of them have even been over the littlest thing, breaking one of my favorite cups. I had a giant mug before this one, and I was on crutches after one of my surgeries in recovery, and these surgeries took 6 months to recover from. Great times. So there was all kinds of roller coaster rides in there, and I bump into the wall with it while I'm carrying my cup while on crutches, and the handle breaks off, and I'm just like, and it just and it just spiraled, and. And, it's just, it's a ride. And, I feel like when you don't accept those, whether you let them in, like let yourself break down and then come back up, or when you just don't let it happen where you're just like, and then you just kind of like work through it or something, that's unhealthy. And we've,
Yeah.
over the past 3 weeks been talking about being honest with ourselves and being honest, with our viewers, and just, like, that's a part of the human experience. Being, letting your stresses get to you, letting it affect you, and then building from that. And to all you guys out there who are like fucking pussies, there's an X button on your browser. And yeah, so
Dude, I cry all the time.
You gotta accept it. Like this whole,
there's nothing wrong with being emotional.
Macho culture is dying, and
Yeah.
it should, because it's been unhealthy for a long time in human history. And speaking of accepting your humanity, so neither of us play Overwatch.
That's the disclaimer.
This little thing happened this week that I sent to you, and you were just kind of like...
My eyes rolled so hard, I felt like I was about to vomit. I was like,
go get that back!
Hold it in. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, my eye rolled so hard it almost popped out. And it was just kind of like, all right, so for those who don't know about what happened in Overwatch this week, someone decided to complain about... So Overwatch is a first-person MOBA where you compete in an arena with other heroes to complete objectives. And, there's a huge audience for these kinds of games. They're an esport. And basically, one of the characters' victory poses that you can pay money for, if you are so inclined.
So wait, this victory pose that they're arguing about, it wasn't even standard?
I don't think it was even standard, but don't quote me.
Oh my god, that makes it worse.
I know. Well, all right. So, from two outside perspectives, so this person who's a dad, gets on the forums and he's just like, this is just so out of character. She's, like, wild and goofy and sweet and fun, and this is just to pose like that. And, I mean, like, as two designers, we could both say, like, yes, the focus was on this character's ass, who is in slim pants, and, is looking at you from behind, holding her guns out. It's looking at her ass. And so there's a few things to unpack here. And as I said leading into this, I think it's time that we really just start accepting our humanity. Like, we aren't angels, we aren't demons, we're not cyborgs, we're not robots, we're not data. We're animals, and we're animals that have basically evolved and have, yes, we've started to beat our own evolution, but there are things that we need to accept about ourselves. Until we basically, can make better children through machinery and technology without fucking, and, we get to that point where we say, okay, we don't need this shit anymore, and just carve it out. Like, I was really hoping you would laugh at that.
Sorry, I'm thinking of things I had thought about this, and I'm writing it down because my memory sucks.
But yeah, until we just, like, chop off our sexual organs because we don't need them anymore, like, that is part of our nature we have to accept. But there are other things to unpack, but I want you to, get some comments in on it as well. But, yeah, this isn't something I want to assault either, because that's exactly what's going on, on Blizzard's forums. And the thing I do want to close on is how they handled it. So, please.
So, when I was reading that article, I had three things popped in my mind. One of which, kind of stems from what you said. We're humans, we're animalistic, we're mammals, and the basis of that is, and even though this may not have been Blizzard's intention, is, sex sells, period. Like, it doesn't matter. It just will. It probably always will.
Even if that pose sexiness wasn't part of this goofy, wild character, she is a human character. Like,
right. And which brings to the second point is that just because, okay, so this character is a strong female character, like, she's smart, strong, reliable, why can't she be sexy? why can't she have some certain sex appeal? Maybe she's like, hey, I just kicked ass. I'm
She's
feeling myself right
wearing
now.
she's
You know?
wearing skin, basically
Yeah.
leggings. You know, like there is nothing about leggings that are just like, oh, they protect me. Oh, they're, you know,
No.
like armor. No, like
No.
leggings have basically one
Yeah.
purpose: to define and show off your legs.
So like yeah, I was just like not honestly upset. I was just like, so why is this person saying that, oh, it's not this character. Like, who are you to say what this character is and isn't? It's not your character.
Well,
Like
what
you didn't develop this person. Like and then which brings me to the next point is why is this person so enveloped in something that is not his to feel like he has the authority to tell the developers who this character is or isn't?
it's art, and Blizzard has that
Yeah.
right to do what they want with their art. And again, I'm going to return to how Blizzard handled this at the end. But again, this guy is a dad, and he's just like, I want to be able to play this game with, my little girl, and I'm taking a stand. Well, guess what, Dad? By taking that stand, eventually, if your little girl becomes an artist, what you get to tell her and explain to her is that at some point you got in such a huff, basically climbed up atop, your statue on, come down from your.
Podium.
Thank you. No.
High box. What's it called? Fuck, I know.
I know.
Pedestal.
Yeah,
Pedestal.
pedestal. Yeah, thank you. Come
Yeah.
down from your pedestal, and yeah. Eventually, you might have to explain that to your daughter why you chose to impede upon someone's art. But unless you have something else, I'd like to wrap this up.
I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, clearly, but it's just how you portray that opinion. If like in this article, he seemed to like have a lot of seemingly valid points. They're just like
I have
he backed
no
himself up.
experience as a
Yeah,
developer.
he backed himself
yeah,
up, which was appreciated.
well,
It wasn't.
no,
He wasn't just
I
like
mean,
this is sexist.
he
didn't do
kind
that,
of shot himself in the foot.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, I have no experience as a developer what it takes to come up with poses or whatever.
Mhm.
And it was just kind of like, okay, you had a point, and now it's just kind of like, anyway.
It's like there's a way to criticize and show your opinion.
Whatever about the guy who posted that, and because he'll have to eventually defend that to somebody who actually plays the game, whether that is his daughter who he'll play the game with, or other people who are just like, why'd you get rid of that? Like,
Yeah.
but here's the thing, I love what Blizzard did. They did not sink to anybody's level. They were just like, okay, and then they were just like, we're gonna change it. And and then later the director of the game, he was just like,
Mhm.
I have full creative freedom over over our game. And he was just he didn't sink to their level. I'm tripping over my own words, so
I do it all the time.
and so basically he came out and he was just like, I have full creative freedom over our game. This isn't like submitting to what fans want. This isn't submitting to controversy. Here's the thing.
Mhm.
The game is about fun, and this is where I'm breaking from what he said and
Mhm.
coming into my own opinion. The game is about fun. So fuck your controversy, fuck social justice warriors, who are going to get out there and be like, men and women, yeah, or however they do that. Maybe it's just like, no sex whatsoever.
Well, it's like
I don't know.
the one guy was like everybody bring out your bland gray suits and
Oh,
boxes.
I know.
It's
That
just
was
like,
that was a great comment.
I'd buy that guy a beer.
And they were just like, you know what? We didn't even care for it that much, so we're changing it to a pose we already had anyways. And
Yeah.
they completely avoided this controversy, or mostly because the media's talking about it, and that's what they do. I don't think they're blowing it up. The forum is blowing up, which is stupid, because that's where the social justice warriors want to come out and be like, no rape and no realism and no accepting our humanity and no accepting games as an art form. And that's my nerd voice, obviously, because this voice isn't nerdy enough. And yeah, they were just like, fuck it. That was it. And I loved that, because it's just like, too bad. If you want to be a social justice warrior about this, we're not going to have any part of it. Like, oh well.
Stay above the controversy.
Yeah, like, and, to those who are, to those who this has affected, who want that pose and, like that pose, uh, maybe you should make your fellow man suck less. Like don't go fight in the forums over this. Don't give it
Yeah.
that kind of attention.
Don't give him that power.
That's what
Yeah.
I do. I avoid forums these days because it's just like, this person is whining about nothing. I'm not going to empower you. Go confront something that's, real, like politics or our situation with China and Russia and, the state of the world and the immigration crisis in Europe and, the Middle East. And it's just like, let's move on to something important, Mark. God.
Well, you wanna,
right?
Speaking of humanity
Right?
and realism, The Walking Dead.
So let's talk about The Walking Dead. And what I actually wanted to title The Walking Dumb. Because we actually have two polar opinions on this. So I'm going to let you go.
I wouldn't call it
Really?
polar opinions.
I didn't
I
know.
wouldn't call it polar opinions.
I didn't
I
know.
mean, I like the show.
Frank.
And here's what
Frank.
It sounds like a Furby saying Frank.
Frank.
Oh no, it's from Gremlins. Bright lights.
Right, oh my God, nice catch.
Remember Gremlins?
Oh my God, we're gonna have to combine those in a few.
Bright lights.
Frank.
Oh shit. All right.
Anyway,
So
welcome to the Ramble on Great Scott Marcus. Welcome to Ramble Entertainment.
Friday night ramble. I think that's what's making this a little bit
Friday night
on
ramble.
edge. Well, and also I'm already on my second beer. Brief Walking Dead history for me. I started watching it when it first came on and watched like the first 2 seasons, but I was watching Dexter at the time. I fucking loved Dexter just before it started sucking as of season, I think 6, like 1 through 4. And then while watching Dexter, Walking Dead just seemed like shit. So then I stopped watching after I think 2 seasons.
I don't know, even Dexter kind of seemed like shit, but go ahead.
Huh?
I wasn't a big fan of Dexter. I thought the characters were a bit contrived.
Yeah, I can see that.
I got through season 1 and it was fine, but then
That's probably the best season anyways,
Yeah.
to be honest.
So
But anyways, and then a couple years later, I had AMC on and I was watching AMC. Duh. God damn it, the beer's getting to me. Anyways, and
it's
I
a
was just
Friday,
like, hey,
guys,
it's Friday.
Yeah.
It worked all week, worked all day, brain's fried. And I was like, hey, Walking Dead actually looks like it picked up again. So then I went back and binge watched, which I found a lot more appealing than watching the show week to week, because week to week it's slow as fuck. I don't know why they're still doing it. Put it on Netflix or something.
They put them on their website, and if they run ads, I don't know. I know you don't make anywhere near as much ad revenue on.
Right. It's painful to watch week to week.
But I think they're just losing viewers at this point, and there's other reasons for that other than just being week to week. But go ahead.
Well, it's anyways, I got myself into it, and I'm into it now. I enjoy it. I actually just watched the second half of this season, which is I think season 4, season 5. I don't fucking know anymore. Season 6, most recent season, whatever. Doesn't fucking matter. And I watched it in all 2 days. And in that 2-day span of fucking 8 episodes, like it maintained steam. It kept the ball rolling, which is nice, as opposed to week to week, we're just like oh. And so I'm just
it looks
like
like
that?
you were having sex. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh.
Oh.
That was the cliffhanger from the season premiere. But no, and it's enjoyable. I like the intensity that it gives me. But I have been seeing its flaws as of recently.
Finally.
I think the last 2 seasons I saw the flaws, like one of which huge bothers me all the fucking time, is the walkers or zombies or whatever you want to call them. They're literally falling apart. Like skin, muscle tissue, bones are just like, it's like a roasted chicken that's been in the crock pot for 12 hours. Like it just fucking falls apart. Yet these zombies are still capable of ripping away human flesh without breaking a bone or a jaw or
now be careful, because this is where the sci-fi can really start to back itself up. But the because the virus,
the virus makes our mandible 20 times stronger,
some shit like that. But the problem really at the heart of The Walking Dead is, yes, they could actually explain shit like that. But even after the first 2 seasons, I knew exactly what was happening. It has no direction. There's no in between. It's always this like fucking
It's
10
it's
episodes to
fun.
build up to the
Fine place.
mid-season finale, and then it's 10 more episodes to build up to the season finale. And again, as you said, it's always that oh.
It's I mean, and that's
And
what the characters are essentially doing. It's run away from the zombies. They find a place, they nestle in a little bit, and for some reason, then they have to move.
and yeah,
You
and
know?
it's like
And
I
watch for 3 seasons.
one of the reasons I don't watch anymore is because I got an argument with my brother about this. I was just like, it could be better because there could be like shit that actually happens in between. Like they could be like trying to figure this out or trying to find other survivors or actually trying to build a community. Battlestar, like there was all kinds of other shit that went on in between, trying to avoid the overall, plot mechanic that was trying to kill the survivors. And it's just like,
Should we have said spoiler in the beginning of this?
it's been how long? If
That's true.
I like
That is true.
That's like saying
Spoiler.
Star Wars Episode 4. Like they get captured at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Maybe
point.
you should have seen Star Wars by this point. But anyways, yeah, spoilers for The Walking Dead. Too late.
It's all
And
the same.
for The Walking Dumb. So yeah, it's a show without a direction. It's a show without a reason for characters to be driven. Even in an apocalypse, you're not just like, all we're trying to do is survive, and I miss my wife, and I'm Rick, and life is hard. Like you're actually like doing shit. You're just like, okay, well,
Yeah.
we're gonna try and get functioning water today because we have a place where we survive, and there was like actual technology in the world we lived in. So, and there's solar panels. Maybe we could like acquire some and actually kind of restore our society, and instead of like losing a fence constantly, we could just electrify like the exterior fence. Oh wait, we can't do that because this show just.
Well, and here's the point. Well, not the point. I'm going to back it up for a minute and then retract it 30 seconds later, is because they have tried to do that twice now. They were in this prison yard and they end up having, finding a couple survivors came in. Basically, I think when they found the prison, it was the end of one season and then beginning the next season. A lot more people were there. They actually started growing crops. I'm pretty sure they had.
I know, I know, but the whole time it was just like this convoluted thing where it's just like
we saw that progress, but then it's like then someone come in and tore it all apart. And the problem then is after that, then it became run, find a place, and then something bad happens, and it's happening again. Like they're in this town, and now there's people that are trying to take it over. It's like in this town that they have houses, and they must have some sort of like water, electrical system. I know they have solar panels. It's just like, and they're trying to build up again. It's just like, is it really just going to jerk you off again and just be like, take it all away? And what sucks is
I don't
like, I
think
feel like
that's
I'm
supposed
invested.
to happen when someone tries to jerk you off. Take it all away.
They do if they stop halfway through.
No, I think your parts are still supposed to be there when they just stop.
Nope, your dick is gone.
Oh my god!
DJ, no dick.
Is there something you need to tell me?
That's why I was depressed.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I have nothing else to add to this. I think that
no,
show
and
is,
that's gonna
that show,
take us into the
this
hype
show
train.
is going to bury
really.
itself because it
Yeah.
has.
I
think,
want it to end.
I think one of the things that actually keeps it going is the fact that there isn't something that people need to pay attention to week. So, like, the majority audience is just kind of like, I want to see some zombies. I don't know why the majority audience talks like that.
I think the anticipation is who's going to die next. I think that's it.
If that's what your show's about, fine. If you're popular, I don't give a fuck. I will go watch, things with substance. Mm-hmm. Battlestar Galactica, Man in the High Castle, House of Cards, like, these are great shows. These have, a point that they're driving towards, even if that point changes at some point, House of Cards. And, yeah, like, we can move on if you're good, because I have nothing else
and
to say
that goes good on the
about
hype
it.
train
It's
because the season finale is Sunday, and I am excited about it just because, like I said, I'm invested in it. Sorry. Just because, it does give me that don't say call adrenaline, but I think a bit of a rush. It does. But so I'm excited about that, and I'm also excited about baseball starting on
Nice
opening day. I think
transition.
is the 4th. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
opening. Yeah, and speaking of sports, I've got my cousin and my buddy coming down tomorrow, Dakota and Devin, and we'll be disc golfing the weekend, and I am very excited about that. So those are my 3 things I'm hyped about.
Nice. That was quick. Bam. You want to get
There's not
this
much to say
over
about
with.
it. 'Cause I mean, baseball I can talk about for hours, and I don't want to put you to sleep. And disc golf is just a great hobby of mine that I
I
got
need to watch a video on
addressed
that
to.
because apparently my girlfriend used to disc golf.
Really, Jen
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. So,
Bring her in. I will talk. I'll talk to her about it. Devin
um,
will too.
so, well, one thing to be hyped about that I actually forgot to mention was even change the graphic. This is now the Ramble. We don't do the weekly anymore. It is a weekly Ramble to coincide with Ramble Entertainment. So very cool.
Shit, I didn't even
I
see that.
I've been. I
Didn't even
mean,
realize you took
well,
out.
let me continue because that ties right in. I've just been staring into space this week. Granted, again, most of my past 3 years have been very sedentary because of the pain I've lived in, but like just working on the graphics and like putting things together and all the creative energy that's just been coming out and going into the computer. Haha.
Hey.
Yeah, like I'm just typically I'm always doing something. I'm always playing. I'm always watching a show. But like I've been doing a lot of staring into space, so I just sit here and I'm just like, fuck, what's next? So I know I haven't been doing as much as I used to do back when like I was trying to do my other website. That was like 80 hours a week. Like I wrote so much. I did so many
Hmm.
webcomics. We'll get to that shit eventually, guys.
Yeah.
If you're even out there. Um,
Somebody.
we'll start to like put ourselves out there, and this might even be the episode. And so yeah, like I'm kind of hyped to that. I'm testing the bounds of my stress again. That we're actually
I did too this week, and it failed.
and yeah, I'm really drained. But that's cool. It's good that we're really pursuing this. That we're getting my other friends involved. You've met them. They're great guys. We're gonna put together some awesome shows for those who want to watch, and especially once we start putting ourselves out there. To those of you who came back to watch these episodes, thank you, and thanks for being here. Welcome to Gray Scout Marcus. I'm Scott. That one's Mark. And then there's Final Fantasy 15.
Oh,
So
really?
there. Remind me to show you the trailer afterwards. I don't want to include the trailer in here
Okay.
because
Well, editing and blah blah
I'm
blah.
I'm not entirely keen on if Square likes to block fair use or not.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a huge event, Final Fantasy Uncovered, where they did 15 basically reveals for Final Fantasy 15. Most of them sucked, and that's kind of a thing between the Western audience and the Japanese audience and Eastern audience. There's this disconnect that they're trying to connect between both, but they did a good job trying to reach both of those connections. But what really just hit home for me was Florence and the Machine singing Stand By Me to this game, like to the background of this game. 4 dudes in a car driving across the world, like, just running into people who need help and just like, massive beasts, just, taking on massive beasts. Like, you need to see this trailer because
I'm
this,
kind of intrigued.
yeah, this might be a
Like
game that
that
even
sounds.
you're into. Like, and the
Well,
music, like,
I played Final Fantasy X. That was great. I
it
loved
was.
it.
Final Fantasy
But that was
X was
also before I
great.
was into
Fuck
RPGs.
all the haters out there who say Final Fantasy X was not great.
I thought it
And
was wonderful.
it was
It was
wonderful.
it was one of my first RPGs, and I finished it in like a really short amount of time because I wasn't into
You're
RPGs.
digging yourself a
But
hole that Final Fantasy X haters are just gonna
but
pounce on right
the,
now.
what I'm saying is like I'm more into the RPGs and the storyline now. So it's like if this 15
Oh, 50. So I
tickles my dick a little bit,
so
I'll be
let
all
me
about it.
let me reel it in.
Sorry.
So I've been fairly uncertain about 15. I'm not gonna hold anything back. I thought Final Fantasy 13 was great. I even enjoyed Lightning Returns only for its combat system and the music. But yeah, like I respect the people who are just like, well, it's just kind of a build up towards the actual game. I don't think I'm there in most Final Fantasies to actually play the game. I'm there to experience awesome storytelling and nice character development. Like that's what really hit home for 8 and 9. The Final Fantasies that really caught me. 7 was good, and I respect what 7 did, but 8 and 9 and 10, those were my favorites. And 13 was good, and 12, eh. I get it. It was a lot about the gameplay. There's people who are really into that. But I think 13 is actually really going to revitalize what Square Enix can do with Final Fantasy. Like just the open world, the chocobos, just like the premise.
Chocobo racing was
the
great.
premise of focusing on these 4 characters, like just develop those 4 characters. Tell us about those 4 characters. Like one of them might die. Maybe 2, maybe all of them. Who knows? Final Fantasy can take some weird twists, and that just I did not see it until the next day how well they did. And it was all really in their trailers for me as, someone who wants to experience Final Fantasy from my perspective. I'm not even going to say a Western perspective. Keep your goddamn choices out of my stories. And
What?
sorry. Keep your goddamn.
I'm so confused.
Keep your. So.
I got scared a little bit actually.
So there's a bit of a here comes a bit of a tangent. The ramble. It says ramble, guys. We're gonna ramble. I'm not a fan of choices in story. Fuck that. Tell me about this character. I want to see the character develop. I don't want to pick this faux choice that tells me something about the character and then I never get anything about that choice he made ever again. I don't want to pick a woman that then I get to see a sex scene and that, and then there's nothing about that chick again in the game, or I go flirt with another chick like that was one of the biggest drop-offs for The Witcher 3 for me. Like when I was just like, okay, like I'm vibing with this one female protagonist, like so okay, I typically don't do this, I typically don't go down the pick your woman or
That'd
pick your man.
To me.
a lot of Western RPGs have been doing this, and it just is like
it's kind of bizarre.
Me.
I mean, I feel like if I play a game, I wanna experience like a movie almost.
And I get that like people want the interactive medium. I get that, but like when I want a deep story, don't give me choice.
Yeah, that doesn't give you depth at all.
Don't even toss them in at the end. Far Cry 3.
You're so mad.
Far Cry 3, I would have, like, back when I was doing my site, I would have given Far Cry 3 a perfect rating had it not just tossed all this weird shit in at the end. And so, yeah, like, a lot of games just tossed in these choices on top of, like, stories that were either already great or could have been great, had, like, this character just progressed through the story, but instead, these characters kind of, like, get stuck, like, just being who they are, and they just kind of made these choices along the way, and then there are like kind of scenes where it's just like, okay, this returns me to what I did before, but how does that really affect the character? And it doesn't, like there aren't these deep connections, you don't get these deep scenes, with like from Final Fantasy VIII where you spent time, like where if you pick the right music, you have this wonderful moment with Renoa, or if you pick the wrong music for their date, there's you get in a fight with her, and it's just like yes, that was actually kind of a choice, but these are 2 direct scenes with only 2 characters, the main character and then the love interest, there isn't anybody else, and yeah, like Squall and Renoa, awesome. And then Tidus and Yuna, like, oh, I decided to pick Riku instead. What? Like that's not. It's Tidus and Yuna. Like that's it. And some people pronounce it Titus, but if you actually play the
I recognize those characters' names. I remember Riku because Well, hard not to forget her.
It's actually pronounced
Because Square
Titus
didn't
and
down dial her sexuality because some fanboy didn't like it.
got him. And
I'm proud of myself for that one.
and yeah, like so I'm rambling a bit and it's getting a bit off track, but at some point I'm gonna have to just sit down and talk about this with Reed, the one of the guys who's gonna be on one of our shows. You'll find out.
Fuck it, YOLO Reed.
Fuck it, YOLO Reed. And so yeah, just I don't think they're putting choices in this game. Typically, if there are choices in a Final Fantasy, and sometimes there are, they don't have a huge impact. Maybe something aesthetic, maybe just like a little thing here or there, but I like that there is a progression of the character. They have their trials and their tribulations, and they grow through it. Tidus grew as a character, Squall grew as a character, Cloud, Zidane, they all grew as characters because of the story that, the creators wrote for them. Not, I made a choice and then they said something and that was the end of that. And nerd voice again. So that's really a lot of what that comes down to. And I'm going to show you that trailer afterwards. I don't want to share it here, guys. If you want to see the trailer, look up Final Fantasy 15 Uncovered trailer. That'll give you a dearth of, I think, like 3 or 4 trailers that they revealed. And
dearth is lack of.
Oh, I thought it was a large amount of.
That's the one thing I learned from the League.
Really? Is it? I'm Googling.
Yeah,
right
they're
now.
Because Ruxin's gone full frittata, and he's like, I'll give you a dearth of something, and then I forget, oh god, what's the football player's name? He went to Harvard. He's like, dearth means lack of. A lack of teeth? He's like, I'll give you a dearth of teeth.
Yes.
Dearth.
Nicely done.
Dearth of teeth? He's like, do you mean dearth or lack of? I'll kill you. Is it JJ Watt? No. No. Ryan. God,
So
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
So an antonym for that would be surfeit. So a surfeit of and that might not even be the proper pronunciation.
Say like plethora or gaggle.
Plethora.
I like gaggle because gaggle's for geese, but I think you can use it for anything.
And one thing I do want to say about their conference is that it was whelming. It wasn't underwhelming. It wasn't overwhelming. It was just whelming. But the thing,
you were whelmed.
But again, the way it just catches me is that cover of "Stand by Me" with Florence and the Machine, and just the scenes of Final Fantasy 15. I cannot wait for September 30th. I was not this hyped before. I typically don't get this hyped in advance. Hype train.
Was that like the "Darling, darling, stand by me"?
We're gonna take a break here in between doing the second half where we do the GSM topic. I'm just gonna show you the trailer, and we're just gonna.
I'm gonna
watch
go pee first. That's
cry.
cool.
No, you're gonna hold it in, or you're gonna piss on your chair.
Fine. I got empty cans next to me, so I'll do that.
Guys, I've been Scott. That one's been Mark. This is the first half of Great Scott Marcus, the Ramble for this week. And next, coming up, is the GSM topic of the week, where we will discuss chain burgers and our different opinions on those. So, thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode, or see you in the next part, or the next episode, or both. Depends on how you want to watch. Maybe we won't see you at all. I mean, I'm just looking at the camera.
They'll see us. We won't see them. Ooh.
Deuces.